Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Gibbon, but you can call me Jem.
So we are in full-on catch-up mode here on the Kongversation, which is why we're doing the first mini of Season 13, because we still need to discuss things that were happening a month ago, or over a month ago at this point. And this is residual Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Promotion, fallout, tendrils digging into other Nintendo products. So, Tetris 99. It's a 2019 Tetris adaptation released for the Nintendo Switch that in its main attraction mode, if the 99 didn't give it away, if you're not familiar with other games of this ilk, of this variety, it pits you against 98 other players around the world in a volatile round of Tetris. And the gimmick is, you know, you're competing against them. They can sabotage you. You can sabotage them. And as the game progresses, of course, the pieces, the what are they called? Tetraminoes?
Something.
Yeah, whatever it is. Look, this is the first time I've ever talked about Tetris, really. They fall down faster and faster and faster, but whoever wins is then declared Tetris Maximus, which is a dumb name, but okay, whatever. Now, Nintendo in recent years has done game-specific themes in Tetris 99. They do this for some of their other games like Super Mario Run, but they do game-specific themes to tie into new releases. So we did in the past have a Donkey Kong arcade theme that's actually still in the game. You can readily unlock that in the game if you have enough tickets. It's a Donkey Kong arcade theme based on the 1981 original, or maybe the NES version of it, knowing Nintendo. But there have been time-limited themes for other games like Luigi's Mansion 3, the Super Mario RPG remake, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. There have been a couple DKU themes along the way, albeit with no references to the Kongs. I think there was Mario Golf Super Rush, Mario Party Superstars was among them, but not the more recent Mario Party. Anyway, it was announced on February 6th that there was going to be a Donkey Kong Country Returns HD event for Tetris 99's 45th Maximus Cup. These weekend events they run in the game where it's basically we're rolling out a new theme, time-limited theme, and you get like a tally of points throughout the weekend based on how well you play these Tetris 99 online battles. And this 45th Maximus Cup, this Donkey Kong Country Returns HD theme, ran from, and I'm using my own local time here, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as it was still Standard Time then, on Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, to 1:59 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, the 18th of February. I remember like reading the time, they announced the Pacific time.
Yeah, because that's where Nintendo's headquartered. So.
Yes. Well, I pulled out my Switch at 11 p.m., not thinking it through, and I was like, where the hell's the Donkey Kong? And this Tetris 99 game I've downloaded. It's like, oh, you have to wait 3 hours, jackass. And it's like, well, I'll just do it in the morning then. I'm not staying up for this shit. The Donkey Kong Country Returns HD Tetris theme was the setting of the 45th Maximus Cup, and by scoring a total of 100 points across the duration of the weekend, you could then permanently unlock it for the game. And if you so choose, that could be it. Like, you could play all your Tetris 99 stuff, save for any future Maximus Cups. And I think things like the team mode don't utilize the special themes. But most of the game, you can then have it augmented to fit your personal taste, depending on the theme.
And they're all pretty slick themes. They do a really good job with them for the most part. There have been a couple clunkers, but this one was really good.
Yeah, well, as somebody who has not played Tetris since I was a wee little lad playing the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
Really? Not at all?
Not at all. No. Why would I? Who do you think you're talking to?
You're right. I don't know what I was thinking. You don't play games.
I hate video games, honestly.
Me too, and I make them for a living.
It's a vile distraction from the important things in life. But I haven't played Tetris in quite a long time. The most recent puzzle game I have played, it's Mr. Pants Mobile Edition. I don't laugh at that.
Yeah, that tracks.
So even then, even back when I played Tetris, because I had Tetris on the NES because my parents got it, my interest in it was never that great. Honestly, it didn't really hold my interest much at all because a puzzle game is traditionally not something that appeals to me. Even pre-Donkey Kong Country, even before my mind was perverted by the sultry ways of the Kongs, I had no interest in puzzle games. Like, it was just dry to me. It was geometry, right? There was no story. There was no lore. There was no romanticism for me. It was all logic and reasoning.
I mean, there can be. A couple of the Mario Picross games have story modes.
I'm talking about Tetris here, though. My dalliance with puzzle games was Tetris.
Okay, but, like, I'm just saying, like, Puyo Puyo Tetris has a story campaign.
Okay, well, It's Mr. Pants was the first puzzle game to really speak to me because of its presentation and absurd implied lore. So it might just be how my brain is wired.
No, I get you. I enjoy those a lot more. Like someone in our chat just pointed out, Dr. Mario 64 has a rather in-depth story mode that is a sequel to Wario Land 3. And I ate that shit up.
Naturally. Yeah. So yeah, like for me, I almost require some half-naked pervert running around in the grassy fields of Pants Land. But
what about video games?
I just told you I hate video games. I'm just speaking about my life here. So they announced this and I'm like, okay, well, this is a story at the very least for DK Vine. But the big question, the question that everybody comes to me and asks me, Hyle, do you think Tetris 99 is going to be DKU? And by that, if you're a novice to this show, basically we require a physical character presence, right, in a game for something to be DKU.
And I notoriously have nitpicked the hell out of the definition of physical character appearance over the years.
I am working on an over-hour video that is my complete manifesto on the subject. So I will not refute you now because I am saving all of it for this.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get into it right now. I just want to know if I can argue using your own evidence that Kirby Planet Robobot is DKU when you're done.
Okay, well, this is a mini, so thankfully I get to cut you off. So anyway, like the question is this going to be something physically representative of Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong or anybody from Donkey Kong Country Returns HD? And is Professor Chop's going to be there? Like, and all we really need is some evidence that they are actually within the perimeter of this Tetris theme. Like, for example, Banjo, we can hear his voice across the radio in Cameo Elements of Power, and we've decided, okay, well, that counts. But a couple days before the event went live, Nintendo showed a trailer for the theme. They're like, hey, this is starting in a couple days, starting this Friday, Thursday night, if you're on the West Coast or elsewhere. This is going to be what it entails. And it became clear to me in the trailer that this was probably going to count as an official appearance of both Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
I added it to the games page that day.
Oh,
Gem.
man.
Yeah, I was on top of it.
Normally, I have to sneak in and do that stuff without you noticing.
Or David does it, but yeah, no, I did it this time. The theme itself. Now, as you said, the themes of Tetris 99, when they like do a theme for another game, they tend to go all in and they do a really good job of, I think, conjuring the spirit of said property or said game.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tetris, I'm thinking old school Tetris, I'm thinking the Moscow in the background, Soviet Russia, you know.
Yeah. Do. Yeah.
I'm not picturing something that's more to my taste, to my preferred aesthetics, which can be a almost naked man running around the grassy fields of Pantsland. But it can also be, and usually is, some half-naked anthropomorphic animal, nut job, be it a gorilla, monkey, bear, squirrel, you know, what have you.
Yeah.
This theme, this Donkey Kong Country Returns HD theme, it's a mixture of old renders, new renders being for DKC RHD, some repurposed assets from the game, and what seems to be some new art inspired by the game to tie it all together. Like, if this is just a kit bash of pre-existing assets, it's the most amazing kit bash I've ever seen, because this has got to be some new artwork. It takes place deep in the Kongo Jungle, within, like, ancient Kong ruins. And there is a lot of familiar iconography from Returns, specifically the temples. You got on the left-hand side 3 stacked monkey statues, the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Speak no evil is at the very, very bottom. It's obscured by some plants, but it is there. I noticed the bird emblem from World 3 boss Stu's gong in Ruined Roost is carved into the side there. Interesting touch. On the right-hand side, off into the jungle distance, we have a toppled golden simian head, not dissimilar to the golden temple head that's showing up, you know, everywhere as of late. So it's a nice touch. There's a minecart track that runs through the middle of this, and that new render of Donkey and Diddy in the minecart for DKC RHD is positioned right in the middle behind the Tetris board or field itself. And, you know, seeing this render, you know, it's like, okay, is this just a static render, or is this representative of the real Kongs? I figured this would be the big debate we would be having. It would last for years. We'd eventually do a DKU tribunal on this in the year 2047, and eventually decide, sure, what the hell, why not? Squawks is there. Squawks is flying to the side underneath a shaft of sunlight that is breaching the jungle canopy. It's an old render of Squawks from DKCR, but I love the visual of Squawks just being illuminated by light. And you never see this aesthetic all that much in Donkey Kong Jungle. It's this dense, almost rainforest canopy where hardly any sunlight is broaching. I really like seeing it here.
Yeah, it's a good look for it.
It's a nice way for the theme to not be overly bright and distracting and keep you from the action on hand, but it's enough to make it feel immersive, like you are just deeper in the Kongo Jungle than maybe we've ever been before. And, like, they do bend everything in the themes. Yeah. Like, everything related to Tetris is not just, here's a new background, like I thought it was going to be. This is a complete retool visually of Tetris for Donkey Kong Country Returns. So the tetraminos,
the blocks.
The blocks, the squiggly little blocks, the multicolored blocks, they take on a more rustic appearance. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be stone or wood, but you've got the swirling spiral patterns that you see on a lot of Retro's environmental details across Returns and Tropical Freeze. They are now like, those spirals are in the middle of each individual block. And I really wish I could come up with a better term for them than swirling spiral thingy mabobs, but that's what they are. It does give it a more natural aesthetic. Now, Tetris 99, the actual, like, head-to-head, you're fighting 98 other players, it introduces this new mechanic to Tetris. I don't know how new it's new to me, having not played any Tetris since the early 90s. But they are garbage blocks. Do you want to explain what the garbage blocks are? Like, what they do in Tetris 99?
Sure. First of all, these have been around for literal decades. In versus play, you can send garbage blocks to another player by getting row completions or Tetrises, where you get a full 4 rows at a time, and the amount of garbage block and garbage block rows you send to your opponent has to do with like your combo and how many things you've cleared, and there's a number of factors that calculate that. But in Tetris 99, you get garbage blocks from everyone, though obviously not at the same time. You can choose who you're targeting, whether that be people that are attacking you, completely random, who is likely to get you a badge, which is another score thing in the system here, and who is close to being knocked out, which means their board is almost completely filled up.
Yeah.
And so you've got a little bit of control over who you're targeting, and the default is random, and so you're likely getting garbage blocks from random other people as well, especially at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I've never like directly targeted anyone for the garbage. Like I've just left it random because I don't have time to manage that much stuff in my brain.
I mean, random's usually fine unless you're doing really high level play. When I was playing this super regularly, I occasionally set it on KOs or badges.
The garbage blocks in this case have been reimagined to be the usually unbreakable Rambi blocks, the stone blocks in returns and tropical freeze that can only be destroyed by Rambi. And they've got his little rhino head on them. And, you know, these can be destroyed. You don't need Rambi. Unfortunately, this isn't like Donkey Kong coconut crackers where an animal buddy might have appeared and like chased a Kremlin away or something. This can be dealt with, the garbage blocks, because there is a gap left in each garbage block row. And if you can get a regular Tetronimo, Tetramino, whatever, if you can get one of those into the gap, then the garbage goes away, clears. And, you know, that it's really down to how much people are targeting you, though. Like some rounds I've really breezed right through, and some rounds I'm like getting like inundated with garbage blocks before like 5 people are even knocked out. So I'm just like, okay.
And managing that is a part of skilled play. If you can keep your field about half full, that means you can get clears and combos whenever you want.
You mentioned the KO badges. Now, when the other players competing against you are knocked out, their visible board, because you can see everybody's board in very like postage stamp sizes across the field, like on the sides. When they are knocked out, they then get replaced by a KO barrel emblem, like a DK barrel, but it's a KO barrel. A completely new concept to the world of Donkey Kong introduced here. Green KO barrels are those which are knocked out by other players. But if you knock somebody out, then that's signified by a KO barrel in the traditional DK barrel colors. So, yeah, I like that little touch. Yeah. That was one of the first, like, before I even understood what was happening, I was like, I like the KO barrel. I like that that's a thing. I like that they felt confident enough to make that a thing. But the KO badges you can earn, which are earned by knocking out another player, and you earn a piece of a KO badge, but you can also get KO badges that they had as well, claim them for yourself. Here, the KO badges are represented by banana coins. I don't know how they like slice the banana coins into like little quarter pieces. It's very like,
I mean, the same way they did historically for real coinage, I imagine. That's where the
like,
pieces of 8 comes from.
Pieces of 8, yeah. I was about to drop that little pirate trivia on you, but you were prepared. So you also get music straight from Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which includes, when you start, the Jungle Hijinks / DK Island Swing for the first half, this beginning to the point where there's 50 players left. It's the DKCR theme for when there are 50 players left, which is just the, the remix of the original Donkey Kong Country theme. Then you get the Rocket Barrel theme, the Mole Patrol, the
big bombastic one.
When it's down to just the final 10, and you are really feeling that pressure when it's down to the final 10, especially if you're playing in online mode. But I have to admit, I've never gotten first place in online mode.
I think since the game has come out, I've gotten first place in online maybe twice.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I've only been playing for a little over a month, and I actually checked my stats before we started because I wasn't sure. The highest I've gotten is 9th place, which isn't great.
That's really good for like only playing for a month.
If you do win, then you get the level clear theme, and then it goes into, I think, cranky shop music, while you're kind of like idling and like the stats and everything's coming up as you're like cooling down. Or you'll get the death jingle, and you go into
I hear
Simeon's.
That one a lot.
You go into Simeon's Segway, the map screen music. But the reason I just went rogue and said, yeah, it's DKU.
Well, this would have been my reasoning for arguing with you, but I'm glad we agree.
Yeah, so, the static render was iffy. Because they're not moving in the background there. As cool as this artwork is, I'm like, I don't know. But when you complete a Tetris, which, as you said, it's clearing 4 lines in a row, it's basically the highest amount you can clear at a time. When you clear a Tetris, which is where the term Tetris comes from, I suppose.
Yeah.
Donkey or Diddy will cheer you on. You'll hear their signature grunts and wallops and woohoos, and that counts as a physical appearance, buddy. Like I don't know what to tell people. They can debate this all they want.
Yeah, they're right off screen. They're looking over your shoulder. They're hyping you up.
You could unlock this theme during this weekend if you got 100 points, and once you unlock it, then you can activate it at any time you want, or just leave it as your default theme from the themes section under the little customizable options menu. And when you select the theme, which is simply listed as Donkey Kong on the actual menu against the jungle background, it's Special Theme 37 for all those who care. You got an appearance by Rambi on the side there as well, like a little hidden Rambi reference.
I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, so when they announced this, and I realized I was going to have to play Tetris for the first time in over 30 years, I was apprehensive. I was very apprehensive about this because I didn't know what I was doing. And I tried to look up guides for it. Like, how do I play? What are the instructions? How do I flip the blocks? And I couldn't find much. So I just went into it blind. And it was really intimidating because you had to play the online mode. Like, there's an offline mode where you're just against CPU bots. There's a marathon mode, which is just traditional Tetris. There's, team modes. But, this Tetris 99 online mode, you had to do it to unlock this theme. So I was like, oh, God, this is really going to put me, and my skills to the metal, my non-existent Tetris skills. But I had to do it for Donkey Kong. I had to do it for Diddy Kong.
That's the spirit.
I was just gravely worried that it would be a race against time. Looking at the clock, it would be Monday night, and I'd be having the flop sweat, trying desperately to get enough points, to scrounge out enough points so I could have this part of DKU history permanently in mind and not have to sit there lamenting, worrying, hoping, praying that one day they will re-add the theme.
If this had come out closer to the launch of Tetris 99, yeah, that might have been the case.
It was very forgiving, and I unlocked it within an hour. Friday morning.
They've very toned down getting the themes since Tetris 99 launched.
which is good because it's very discouraging.
Oh, yeah,
It would be extremely discouraging had they not. And, so I was like, okay, well, I don't have to play Tetris 99 anymore. Done. Like, I can always come back to it later now because I have what I came for. I have the little bit that makes it DKU.
That's right, Hyle. You can quit anytime you want.
The Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong, and Diddy Kong, I have them in Tetris now, so it's mine to revisit at my leisure, especially because it'll just carry over to the Switch too.
Yeah.
Since then, I have played almost every single day. And it's not one of those things where I'm just sitting there for hours on end. It's not that. It's become my cooldown game. So nighttime, it's hard for me to sleep a lot of times because my brain is overactive. It might be related to my bipolar 2, where I just... I like have manic periods, especially manic creativity periods at night. And I just want to work at night, where I'm trying to keep to like an honest schedule where I just mostly work day hours and I like have a life at night.
That's fair. I'm just a chronic insomniac.
I used to be. I used to be. I've worked on that, but I also just feel more creative and productive at night sometimes. But sometimes when I'm like trying to sleep because I have to get up in the morning, I'm like, all right, well, I need to distract my brain. And I found Tetris 99 is actually a really good game because it's low effort as far as like putting my creative thoughts into something. I'm not. I'm just doing exactly what I was decrying Tetris for being. I'm using logic and reasoning and pattern recognition and just very base lizard stuff. But it's really monotonous in a fun way. And it lulls me and either my creative energy or my existential dread at the present nightmare we find ourselves in. And I can then just give myself in to the Sandman. I have actually played Tetris 99 for, according to my Switch stats, over 25 hours in the last month. Since February 14th. That is the exact amount of time I've spent on Returns HD.
Ooh.
So for the promotion, for the tie-in for Returns HD, that I was just going to get in and get out as soon as I got what I came for, I have played it just as much as the mothership.
That's how they get you.
Gotten actually good at it, because it started throughout the rest of that weekend. I was like, well, this is a Returns HD event. I should experience it a little bit more. I should play it through the weekend at least. And then that just led into it becoming a nightly ritual. Like, I'm not half bad at it for over a month. Like I said, I haven't won a match against human players, but I'm honing my skills on the bots and then jumping into at least one online match every night. And I'm getting better. I'm getting a little bit more versatile, dexterous.
Yeah, it's always fulfilling seeing your practice pay off.
I still haven't figured out how to do the T-spin or what that is really, but...
Oh, it's when you bring a block down and it's not going to fit, and you spin it at the last moment to get it to slot into a gap that you wouldn't have been able to just drop it straight down into.
I feel like I do that all the time. Maybe I don't spin it enough, or it's not at the very last minute.
It might be... Yeah, I don't know. I've had trouble getting those requirements to trigger as well, but that's what it is in theory.
Well, here's why I really invited you on this episode, because I have played it so much, I even ventured outside the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD theme for once, because the 46th Maximus Cup occurred the other weekend, and this is the only time...
Yeah, it did.
This is the only time they force you out of your preferred theme when you're playing these Maximus Cups. And this was a more recent tie-in than Returns HD. It was for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition.
Yeah.
And this is where I really saw for the first time how much the vibe changes when you switch up the themes. It feels like a completely
really
different game. Like, I was off my game playing this. I unlocked it, by the way. This is now the third theme I have unlocked after Returns HD and Donkey Kong Arcade Classic. So, because of course I unlocked that one just for posterity's sake. But yeah, like, it just felt like a complete. I mean, the fundamentals are the same. Everything's the same, but just aesthetically, it's so different.
Different vibes makes for a whole different experience. Even just going from different games and different themes in the same set. Like the Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 themes are like completely different games. It's crazy.
Yeah. Freezer says, it's cute hearing Hyle describe a game, but only care about DK elements. I mean, it's true. I would not still be playing this if, like, no offense, if I was locked into a Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition theme.
Mm-hmm.
I come back because I can hear the reassuring sounds of Donkey and Diddy cheer me on.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I own lots of Tetris games, actually, because like Tetris DS had a bunch of Nintendo franchise themes and modes in it, and I bought it specifically for the Metroid and Donkey Kong modes, and stayed for the rest of it because it's a good Tetris game.
Well, this is my Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, Diddy, my favorite character of all time, finally represented in a Tetris. And, you know, it turns out, similar to my aforementioned affinity for It's Mr. Pants, all I really needed to understand, Andre's ribbing me in a live stream chat that I said logic and reasoning equals base lizard stuff. But, I mean, that's the way I view it. That's the way my brain is wired. Yoshi of Earth says, I won like 3 games of 99. See, I've got to get better. I've got to keep playing, but I'm going to keep playing because all I needed to really become addicted to Tetris was reframing it from its Soviet Russia era setting to Donkey Kong Island, going from the Kremlin to the Kremlins. Ooh. Having it be a competition the Kongs are hosting, similar to the time Mr. Pants had me on his game show. And yes, most importantly, having Donkey and Diddy actively root for me. Because not only does it help my appreciation for what many people have called the greatest game of all time, the most influential game of all time, you know, the game that comes before all other games, yada, yada. Yeah, I get it, but it didn't have Donkey and Diddy Kong in it, did it? Now it does. But I can understand it now because it's brought down or maybe elevated to my level. Yes, it also helps my self-esteem.
Yeah, I generally agree with all of that.
I'm realizing now, you know, it's late March. It's too bad they can't add Diddy Kong to TurboTax.
Well, yeah, because Tiny's the one who handles taxes.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.